Sport requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear, when Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, it was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse and an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free-time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs to professional sporting organisations, even referees. Ranked third most prominent football brand by the UEFA, Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide, including Australia, where we are currently proud partners of Perth Glory, Macarthur FC, Port Adelaide and Parramatta Eels, and more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us on 1800 Macron.
Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Eyes, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Eyes, Plumpton.
Good evening and a very, very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us here on the Football Out West show. It is indeed episode 74 of our long-running season. My name is Tonchi Prusak. I'm one of your co-hosts for tonight. As per normal, we've got 3 of us, and the one that is coming on right now is none other than Mr. Craig Filer. Craig, a very good, very warm welcome to you, and a great pleasure to have you on the show again.
Thank you, Tonch. Good evening, listeners. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody's had a great week, and hope everybody was really excited with the news we had at 12:30 today. How do you feel?
Yeah.
How are you?
Are we talking about tonight's guests? Maybe is that what the guest was? Because
I didn't hear anything of that on the roadmap this morning, mate. But I heard a lot of bullshit. So
let's talk positive. Let's talk positive and keep it positive. And one man who just exudes positivity and radiates warmth and happiness is Steve Curtin. Steve, always an absolute pleasure to have that smiling face of yours joining us on a Sunday night.
Oh, Tonchi, by that description, I think you got the wrong guy, but no,
okay,
good to be here again. Yeah. That's not fitting my description, but no, good to join yourself, Tonchi and Craig, again tonight, and everyone tuning in from home. Just been starring in an episode of Gone with the Wind, I think, all weekend, getting out and about and trying to encounter that. And
how windy has it been the last few days?
Yeah. It's almost it would have been tough conditions to go out and play football. Would have rather been watching from inside, I think. So, but yeah, certainly could have had to watch a lot of European football inside this weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that in the news coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Craig, last week, what a massive show that was. We had ZAK GRUEVSKI joining us, who will be joining us again tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We had Mark Sultana as well, but Nick Galatas as well from the Australian Association of Australian Football Clubs. By far our best rating show, I think, ever in our 74 episode history.
Yeah, up around the 7,000 mark, I think, Tonch. Which is fantastic. So look, and the numbers are already lifting high this evening already. So it looks like we're going to get another cracker tonight. And remember, it's if you don't get to watch it, you can download it on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever it is you get your podcast from, and watch it later on. We were talking just before the show about where we're getting a lot of our listeners from, and I think we had 20-odd people from America, from all around America, and one from Bulgaria, Steve.
Yeah, it's
that's
amazing.
Right.
And that's
big,
just the podcast.
Yeah. The show's called Football Out West, but we're big in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Maybe they look in the East, they look towards the West as the promised land, and straight away think, oh yeah, maybe that's what they're talking about. Nonetheless, I'm sure that they will be entertained, or have been entertained by last week's show. Yeah, our biggest YouTube episode ever, and mind you, the previous week's episode with Kimon Taliadoros, which set the ball rolling, was also a very, very high rating episode as well. But like getting back to last week's episode, Craig, it really has set a lot of things in motion, shall we say. And tonight we're going to be talking with ZAK GRUEVSKI, who is the chairman of the what's it called? The United. Can you remember what it's called?
The United Group of Football Clubs, or
something like that.
Clubs,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So look forward to that. What else have we got on the cards for tonight as far as guests?
Yeah, look, we'll have a good chat with ZAK, and there's a lot gone on this week, I believe. So it'll be great to get an insight into what's been going on behind the scenes there, and we're going to get a different opinion then from the other side of the coin. We talk about the promotion side, but we're also going to speak to the football operations manager at St. Albans Saints. He's going to come on and have a chat about their predicament that they find themselves in, being in that bottom 2-3 of the league when it was closed down. So it'd be really good to see how we sort of get two different trains of thought, I suppose, on the current situation. So that'll be a really interesting topic, and hopefully fourth week lucky, we might get Dan Pagnoccolo on to come and talk about Serie A. But fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
As Daniel is fully aware, it really depends on how the show goes, and how much our viewers get involved with the show as to whether we can get Dan on or not. So if you want to be involved in the show and you don't want to listen to Dan, you best phone in.
Yeah. Big cheerio to Dan. He is all the way in Moscow. He'll be tuning into the show, and he's probably watching the show now. So drop us a comment, Dan. And to everyone else as well, we're already seeing quite a fair few people dropping some comments in. It's usually the same suspects, but we'd love to have a few new people as well. But no doubt over the last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of new listeners, new viewers tuning into the show. So we really appreciate it. And this would not be possible without our major sponsor this year, the Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club. They have been absolutely insanely incredible, and thank you very much to George Cross Football Club. They have really supported us in what has been a tough year. Hasn't been an easy year, that's for sure, and we really appreciate their support throughout the year, and hopefully, it's still yet to come. And in fact, today George Cross did announce they will be opening up during the day, Georgie's on Vista, that is. So for your convenience, while the kids are on school holidays, and if you're out, you want to get them out of the house, there you go. That's a post that they put on today. For your convenience, while walking or exercising a city Vista, Georgie's on Vista is opening its outdoor kitchen for takeaway snacks and coffee Monday to Friday between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there are some of the goodies available: nuggets and chips pack, toasties, hot dog, chips, coffee and drinks. No phone orders, just order on site, available only during the school holidays. So a great initiative there from the trying to trying to get a little bit of the community back together. But and also, Craig, Macron Victoria, say a couple of words about Macron Victoria, who are our episode sponsor yet again tonight.
Yeah, look, they do a great job. Again, they've just announced for all you Victory fans out there, they've which has seen a fair bit of debate on social media, but they've launched their new kit, or Melbourne Victory kit for this season. They're starting to get some traction now with a lot of clubs in Victoria. Obviously, a lot of clubs are still unsure of what's going to happen next year. But look, if you are looking for your kit supplier for next year, give Giacomo and the team down at Macron a shout, and I'm sure they'll be able to come up with a cracking deal for you. But just on the Victory kit, what do you think? Be all right if it didn't have a Melbourne. Be okay
I was going to say, on another note, I was watching a bit of FFA Cup this week, and I saw Edge Hill United up there in Cairns. They have the Macron kit as well. That was on TV on the 10 play on Wednesday night, and that was a ripping
good
kit
game of football, actually.
So it's a great game of football. Fantastic. Tonchi, any thoughts on the Victory kit?
Oh, look, obviously we love our Macron kits. I think I reckon it's not too bad. I think
sitting on the fence. Do you like it or not?
No. Oh, look, I don't like Victory.
Let's leave it to the people in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not get involved.
But then again,
drop your thoughts in the comments.
Actually, that's a good idea. What is Santina Mamone? He's a big Victory supporter. Brenton Ray, another big Victory supporter. What do those gentlemen and any other Victory supporters think of?
Sev Kerm is a closet Victory fan, I think.
Is he? Yeah, that's right.
When they're doing well, he's okay. When they're doing poorly, he goes into hiding.
Yeah, there's a few of those. But let's now turn our attention to news. And whilst we're on the A-League, Steve, now you came up, actually it was Maxi Santich, one of our regular, there's Maxi, he's popped up there. Peter Couchy, I'm with you, Tonchi, I'm with you, Peter, I agree. Now, there was a very interesting thing that Maxi actually put, and you're going to talk about that. Players that have played at the most A-League clubs. It's quite a shocking, dead set, it's a shocking document. Do you want to go on about it?
It's one of your favourite talking points, Tonchi. We're always talking about Liam Reddy, and we were just trying to check, because I always think of Isaka Cernak, who's only represented the 6 clubs, where Reddy's represented 7. And the other one that's crept under the radar was Anthony Golek, who's also represented 7 or been contracted to 7 A-League clubs there. So you might have to get out the binoculars to read the fine print there, but you can see that is a list there of players who have been contracted to 5 or more A-League clubs, and there's a whole bunch that are on 4 that we couldn't fit into the graphic, obviously, because we don't have an A0 paper-sized computer monitor here to fit that all on, of course. But yeah, there you go. And I think Anthony Golek has to win the prize for the most clubs, because if you went into technicalities, he's had a much shorter career than Liam Reddy, who's been going since the NSL days as well. And we're saying off camera earlier, Tonchi, that he also represented Parramatta Power as well. So in the NSL, so that makes it up to 8 National League clubs as well. Plus he also played for Sydney United in the what was a precursor to the New South Wales NPL. So
it would be New South Wales
more clubs than Tiger Woods, as they say. More clubs than Tiger Woods.
Yeah, amazing, yeah. But we haven't got Craig's favourite player there. Matt Simons.
Because he's only ever played for one club, because nobody else will touch him, Tonch.
What about when Arnie had him at Sydney FC, though?
Oh, that's 2 clubs. There you go. Anyway, interesting little fact there, fun fact, as my kids would say. So thank you, Maxi Santich, the recycled league. Let's talk about the FFA Cup, guys. Anyone have a chance to actually watch that during the week?
Yeah, caught both of these games,
FFA
actually.
Cup action.
Yeah, caught both of these games, and I think there was some hope that Peninsula Power might have been a real chance against the Brisbane Roar, having just come off a busy lot of matches in the Queensland NPL and been in match condition and form and fitness should all be there, whereas the Roar are very much in a pre-season phase. But it didn't go that way, and Peninsula Power got steamrolled there 3-0. A much more exciting game, though, as Craig pointed out just a moment ago. On Wednesday night, we had Simon Hill on the mic with Daniel McBreen, and they did a very good performance as a commentary duo, and Edge Hill served it right up to the Gold Coast Knights. Edge Hill, a team from Cairns, so they don't play in the Queensland NPL. They play in a local competition in further up the coast of Queensland, and they were right in this game right up until I think it was, when was it, Craig? Like the 85th minute when the Gold Coast Knights scored.
I think, Steve, it was really a long time into the game, and at one point I thought it was going to go to penalties, and unfortunately they just fell over right at the last kick of the games. Really,
that's right.
I watched this game, and I must say the presentation was really good from Channel 10 Play. So they might do a good job. But Simon Hill was, it's great to have the man behind the microphone. And I think he even said this very interesting statistic that the actual population of Edge Hill, which is a suburb of Cairns, is something like 4,000. So, they're coming up against the might of the NPL Queensland.
I think Simon said on commentary, Tonch, there was 2,200 at the game, I think.
Yeah,
so
good crowd there.
Wow.
Good crowd
Yeah.
there. Good atmosphere,
Really
like a
good.
great atmosphere too. It was an athletics track style stadium, so the crowd was a little bit further back, but it didn't matter. The atmosphere came across into the television broadcast and seemed to be, somewhere we would have liked to have been. And also the weather as well would be pretty nice up there too at the moment before it gets into the wet season. Be just the end of the dry season. Pretty nice time of year in Cairns if we were on holidays, hypothetically in another world. So good match there. And a couple coming up this week. Queensland Lions are hosting Casuarina. Casuarina's from the Norzone NPL in Darwin. And then we've got the first of our weekend games happening next Sunday. So there is a feature of these games being played occasionally on a Sunday at 3:00 to get a bit more TV time in the, middle of the afternoon on Sunday on Channel 10, possibly on the main channel. Floreat Athena versus Adelaide United, that match over in Perth. And then another game in Perth coming up on Wednesday week, Joondalup versus Adelaide Olympic. So good chance for the states that aren't in lockdown to at least play their games, and then hopefully we'll be able to join them and get our end of the bargain going too soon, because people are pretty keen to see that match between South Melbourne and Melbourne City at Lakeside. It'll be pretty decent. Hopefully that could be the first,
I don't think that's
double
going to
vaccination
happen for a while,
attendance come in and watch. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's going to get played? Because
I don't think so.
The roadmap doesn't look very favourable for, to be honest,
unless
for the A-League to start, let alone FFA Cup.
Craig, unless it moves well into the new year, I don't think it'll happen. And to be honest, I can't see New South Wales. I can't see Victoria. So unless it's going to be a sort of a streamlined FFA Cup between teams from WA, Tasmania, South Australia, Queensland, and Northern Territory, I don't think it's going to go ahead. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But, unfortunately, with these things, I haven't been too wrong in the past. Mind you, Steve, me and you, we're going into a 7-day lockdown in Geelong. I don't think it's going to be 7 days, but that's just my thoughts. Steve, what do you think about the FFA Cup?
Look, I think they should, and they probably would be considering keeping the door open. They probably already have factored this in, keeping the door open to finishing this competition in the new year in January, in maybe around Australia Day time, maybe late January, and try and get it finished off by then.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've got to move along. Let's quickly look at the EPL, and then we're going to go to our first guest because it's already almost 20 minutes past the hour. So let's quickly look at the EPL results overnight. Some very good scores if you're a Liverpool fan, that's for sure, and Aston Villa as well. Anyway, Steve, over to you.
Yeah, good result for Liverpool there. We thought Crystal Palace had been in pretty good form, but as it turned out, Liverpool at home, they're just so formidable with the crowd back there at Anfield. 3-0, looked very, very good. A contentious one was Man City and Southampton, but funnily enough, the VAR has actually been getting good reviews from the pundits after this match in particular as well, so we can talk a bit more about that. 2 goals for Sarr as Watford went to Norwich and got a 3-1 win. In the game that was Saturday morning our time, Newcastle 1, Leeds United 1, and a bit of misery for Wolves as even Tony inspired Brentford to a 2-0 win, and they finished with the 10 men. Martin Odegaard with a nice free kick for Arsenal to make it 2 1-0 wins in a row for them. And Aston Villa, they ended Everton's excellent run that they'd been having with a resounding 3-0 win. Very good second half of the match from Everton there at Villa Park. And a few more games to come. Brighton, Leicester tonight at 11 o'clock. Looking forward to that one. Also at the same time, West Ham, Man United, and Tottenham, Chelsea. Any thoughts on the weekend's EPL games, Craig?
EPL.
Yeah, look, I watched a few of them this afternoon. Watched the Liverpool game. I thought Crystal Palace started off very, very well. Hit the post. Had a couple of better than half chances, I think. But Liverpool looked very, very good when they got into their flow. Aston Villa, fantastic win against Everton. Everton would have gone top had they won that game. But I think, again, Everton were in the game for a long period of the time. Unfortunately for them, I think their 4 key players who were missing had a massive effect. Obviously, the keeper just before kickoff didn't help the situation. Pickford. Of course, Calvert-Lewis and the Brazilian, I can't think of his name now, also missing, plus the captain, Seamus Coleman. So, and at the bottom of the ladder there, look, I think Norwich are doomed, aren't they? If there was a game that they really needed to win or should be at some point winning is against Watford. But they didn't.
And at home as well. Yeah.
And at home as well. So I'm afraid I think it's minus 12 after 5 games. It certainly doesn't look very good for them. But the interesting one for me this week is Burnley. Sean Dyche signing a new 3-year deal at Burnley, which is fantastic news for Burnley. He's obviously been promised something because it's been spoken about that he's possibly going to leave the club because there's no money and they're struggling. But he signed a 3-year deal, so I'm not sure whether it's a good one for him. Probably because they're in the quagmire at the moment, it's down there on 1 point. So he's got a big task ahead of him, and then above that you've got poor old Steve Bruce at Newcastle, who's taking an absolute hammering at the moment. And I saw a report this week in the paper saying they finished 12th last year. I'm not sure what Newcastle fans expect when they've got an owner that's an absolute disgrace to football. But hey, what do you do?
Yeah, it's going to be a long season. Hopefully, things will change for a lot of clubs. But Steve, going back to the top of the competition, it's the usual suspects up there. Who has most impressed you so far this season?
I think at the moment, my 2 teams that have impressed me probably. Man City's been consistently pretty good, but they haven't really hit the top gear yet in the league. Liverpool and Chelsea are probably the 2 that have stood out the most for me. Have you got a favourite so far?
Liverpool, I'd say, obviously be Liverpool support, of course. But look, Man United, the Ronaldo factor, they're going to get better and better and better. And they've got a very good team, great depth, as have a lot of those teams up the top there. I think Man United have actually done really well. Pains me to say it, and I think they're going to probably be more of a threat for the title than Man City. Although Chelsea have got a game in hand and they can still kick up near the top of the competition. But as you expect, at this early stage of proceedings, very, very close up the top. Craig, thoughts?
Yeah, look, same as you guys. It's very much a 4 or 5 team racing it. The surprising one up there, I think, after 4 games is Brighton, considering they were most people's favourites to certainly be in that relegation zone. But we know they play nice football. They didn't have the rub of the green last season. West Ham, I think West Ham are a good football inside, very well organised. Saw them go away to Zagreb in midweek in their
Conference League or
Europa League. Not the conference, but the Europa League.
Yeah, and get a very good 2-0 win there. So, West Ham will be up there. I don't think they'll get inside the top 4, but they'll certainly be in those places just below them. So, and a big shout out,
the 3rd tier.
Yeah, and a big shout out there. Just Brenton Ray has put in that breaking news: Tottenham Hotspur this morning extremely saddened to learn the passing of the great Jimmy Greaves. Who sadly passed away in the early hours this morning, and what a player he was back in the day as well, and a fantastic sports personality as well. So used to love watching St and Greavesy on a Saturday back in the UK. It was one of the programs that you couldn't miss on a Saturday lunchtime before you went off to play your football. So thoughts go out to the Greaves family and obviously all the Spurs supporters.
Okay, moving along to next week's games, next week's fixtures. Steve, let's quickly whiz through this, and then we're going to bring our first guest on tonight, who is the chairman of the United Football Clubs of Victoria, ZAK GRUEVSKI. But in the meantime, let's look at match day 6 coming up.
We'll just look at some of those bigger fixtures, and the big one that jumps out, 9:30 Saturday night there, Chelsea hosting Man City at Stamford Bridge. That should be a beauty. Also, at the same time as well, Man United and Aston Villa. So we're spoiled for choice at the same time there with two very good games going on. There's a London derby as well to look forward to, which will be in the early hours of Monday morning or Sunday night, if you like, next weekend. Arsenal-Tottenham, that's always a good one there. And it'll be interesting to see. It might be a 0-0 draw. I don't know what's going to happen there, but they're probably 3 big games to look for next weekend. Also, Leeds and West Ham, both teams that like to play football, should be quite good.
Can't wait for that. That's going to be a great weekend. Actually, I reckon that could be an all-nighter that Saturday night. Lots of great football action happening there. Folks, don't go away.
Your all-nighter and my idea of an all-nighter are very, very different, Tonch.
Yeah. I tried to pull an all-nighter last night. Oh, it didn't last till about halfway of the Liverpool Crystal Palace game. Even my little 9-year-old boy outlasted me. He lasted to the 70th minute. I was gone at halftime. But don't go away, folks. Yeah, got a great effort. Don't go away, folks. We're going to have a little bit of a break. When we return, it is ZAK GRUEVSKI, our first guest for tonight.
Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Rise, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not 1, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at George's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Rise, Plumpton.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It is episode 74. Thank you very much for joining us. Our major sponsor this year, Caroline Springs George Cross Football Club. Some very, very good messages there from them. Great to see them back in action as of this weekend. And it is going to be a really, really, really good thing to have George Cross back. Also, our episode sponsor, can't forget them, Macron Victoria. Our next guest, he's ready, he's raring to go, and he's been itching to come on, and he joins us now live. ZAK GRUEVSKI, the chairman of the United Football Clubs of Victoria. ZAK, welcome to the show.
Tanji, good evening. Thank you for having us again, and good evening, Craig and Stephen, and a big good evening, obviously, to all your wonderful listeners and viewers.
Great. Thank you, ZAK. Thanks for coming back on and giving us your time on a Sunday evening. Obviously, last week's show was a fantastic one for us in terms of numbers, but also, you know, the amount of conversations that we had and the conversations that have continued all throughout the week. So it'll be really interesting to get a take on what's happened for you guys throughout the week. I'm sure there's been lots going on, but I think let's get sort of straight into it. I think if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure, no problem at all.
Yeah. So, just from my side, ZAK, obviously there's done a bit of research this week, and obviously I understand that you spent about 3.5 years with the Football Federation of Victoria on their board.
That's right. Yeah, that was back in sort of 2011-14. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Given that sort of situation and experience that you had from that, has that given you, I suppose, the lead, the initiative on behalf of the United Group of Clubs? understanding.
Look, I think it definitely provided some wonderful experience, not only to look at it from a club perspective, as I did, as most listeners would know, with Preston, but having that experience and just really navigating your way through, the way the game functions and is administered in this state was a terrific opportunity. Not only to see that, but also to try and give something back to football. So that I think held me in good stead for many years, both through my journey with Preston as president, but also in this current journey that we're on right now with the United Football Group of clubs, who are clearly have some issues that they'd like to work through with Football Victoria.
Now, Zach, we spoke to you this time last week. Let's talk a little bit about what's happened in the 7 days since then with the group of United football clubs in Victoria.
I think, thanks, Stephen. I mean, I think I found another full-time job. I said I was quitting Preston to slow down a bit. I think I found a full-time job this week. Look, it's been terrific, and as Craig was sort of alluding to earlier, we've had plenty of hot debates in many circles in football clearly this week. And obviously fantastic to see a great response to this program and the terrific work you guys have been doing. So, look, this week has sort of been more about continuing some of the dialogue with Football Victoria, and obviously ensuring that we keep our group of clubs that has grown to sort of 40 plus clubs, and then on top of that, there's a stack more who are keen to actually join a meeting we have scheduled for later this coming week. So it's been a really interesting week. Look, it's probably fair to say from the dialogue that we have had with Football Victoria, even as late as sort of Thursday of last week, we met with the chair of the football committee, subcommittee of the board, as well as with Kimon, and really presented a case that we sort of summarised, I think, in part on the program last week. So I won't go over old ground, but we really just wanted the chair of the football committee to clearly understand the ramifications of the decision that Football Victoria has made, that this is not one or two isolated clubs who have got some grievances with the federation. There's always, they're an easy target. Let's not kid ourselves. And, based on my previous experience, I clearly understand that better than most. But it goes to show that this action is definitely ramping up. As I said, the level of interest has increased in the last week. And look, it was a really good conversation with the FE team. But it's fair to say from that discussion, we've clearly got a fair bit more work to do if we're going to try and secure some sort of resolution to this matter. The current steps, I guess, we're working through. So I spent much of today and a part of yesterday preparing a written submission for the federation that will go to their board tomorrow. They have a board meeting tomorrow evening, or late afternoon, evening, I think. And so I'm just in the throes of actually finalising that submission, perhaps later after this program. And so that's, I guess, another opportunity to get in front of the full board with something in writing for them to consider. And then depending on where that takes us, we'll determine, I guess, our next steps.
Now, Zach, with you've sort of mentioned that this is becoming bigger than Ben-Hur because it's providing you with another full-time job, and there is growing interest from clubs. Is there a concern that the original agenda might blow into something else? Because we even saw last week, it wasn't just the promotion relegation issues. Everyone seems to have a gripe with Football Victoria. I mean, someone made a good comment about refunds just before. But is there a worry or a concern that, when you've got so many clubs banded together now, it's a good opportunity to now start, airing other grievances as well? And does it then become a little bit very hard to control your original agenda?
Yeah, look, Tonchi, look, that's a really good question. I don't think that's the case. We had some very clear conversation with the group when we met last Sunday, and that was one of the key things we wanted to be really clear with everyone to say. We've all had or have grievances with Football Victoria, whether it be governance structures and a host of other things, but we wanted to be crystal clear that this is really about the decision that's been taken this year, based on promises, obviously, that have been made by Football Victoria in the last 12 months or so, particularly around promotion relegation. And so we want to keep it extremely tight in terms of a focus. Now, can it slip away from us? Well, yes, of course it can. But clearly, the clubs have given me obviously a mandate to work on their behalf with Football Victoria, and to try and keep it confined, because the longer and the broader, I guess, we make these sorts of issues, the longer these issues take to resolve. Really, you open another can of worms with something else, and then it's going to be very difficult to actually try and reach some sort of resolution on the matter at hand here, which is that around promotion relegation for clubs who are not only aspiring, but have busted a gut over the last 12, 24 months to get their clubs where they need to be.
On the other side of that, does the United Group of clubs have a strong position on the relegation as much as the issue of promotion, Zach?
Look, really good. Another good question, Craig. I mean, the points around relegation hasn't been. I didn't think it was as strong initially, but clearly from some discussions we had last Sunday and subsequent conversations, I think that relegation issue is sort of becoming a little more prominent. I mean, again, that's not something we're going to be able to determine. That's a decision for Football Victoria to make. But it's definitely getting a lot more attention from our group of clubs who are basically saying, and look, there's multiple arguments obviously here that the clubs will mount. Many of them are saying, look, we're to some extent rewarding mediocrity. Clubs who have struggled for a couple of years now potentially get rewarded by not being relegated. Now, again, is that a final position we've put to the Federation? We've actually put some options to the Federation for them to consider. Look, ultimately, they're the governing body, and our job is to work with them to try and reach some sort of agreement on this issue. So, look, we're probably a little bit 50-50 or slightly on the other side of the ledger around relegation. But again, it's not something we're going to die in a ditch over. Our biggest priority is really about promotion and rewarding clubs, as I said, who have worked extremely hard for the last couple of years.
So, Zach, is it likely model something where we might see clubs being promoted and there might not be relegation, but then there might be sort of like a double relegation the following year to get those numbers evened out, and maybe factoring in an NPL 2 expansion like they put in the paper in August?
Well, look, that's quite possible. I mean, and this is one of the arguments I guess we've mounted with the Federation. One of the part of the discussions we're having. There's clear evidence, and there has been clear evidence for the last 12 months about the way they want to see the leagues looking. We've got Football Australia who released that performance gap report. Must have been earlier this year. I think we had a meeting with Graham Arnold and a range of others who were speaking about top tier NPL across the country. This is not just in Victoria, so we're not special here. Across the country, having 16 teams and 14 in the next two divisions afterwards. So, and much the same, obviously, on the women's side. I mean, I think I articulated reasonably well enough the women's argument. So this is not just about men's football; it's also about women's football as well. We spoke about the upcoming World Cup, and we've got 8 teams sitting in our top tier of football in this state. Not a great look at the minute.
Absolutely, and there has been a lot of talk about restructuring what you're not. We've got one of the viewers, Kylie Grisbeck, who actually happens to be a counsellor down Geelong Way and involved with Lara United in State League 2 Women's. Now that you mention that, she says, where could we get further information, especially for those Geelong clubs that participate in State League NPL who may be interested? Well, Kylie, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow, and I'll pass on Zach's details, or we'll get you in contact with Zach. Look, are there other clubs that haven't come forward that may be interested? What's one way that they can get in touch? Maybe via Football Out West, or Zach? Is there another way?
Even a direct email that we've set up a specific email, dedicated email for this program of work. So United Football at plfc.com.au. So United Football at plfc.com.au. So more than welcome to drop us a note, and we'll respond accordingly with any information that they'd like to see.
We'll just type that out in the comments section. So United Football at plfc.com.au. There's an email for you, Kylie, and for any other clubs that want to jump on board. And it is it's a big issue. That is not about to go away. And there are clubs obviously looking at promotion, but we talked about last week, there are a lot of clubs that probably finished third, that maybe had a couple of games in hand and that sort of stuff. So look, that'd really be interested to know what is going on. And dare I say, Zach, particularly the women's side of things, and we've seen with the Preston women's team in the VPLW, there's going to be a lot of vacancies. So there may well be a case of not just two, but possibly more teams moving up the hierarchy, if you like, or up the leagues. And particularly, as you said before, and that's a really good point, there's only 8 teams in our elite women's competition, and that's 2 years ahead of the World Cup. It's just not good enough, is it?
No, look, definitely not. And the material is there and available for everyone to see. I mean, all of us have seen it as clubs. I mean, this is, as I said last week, we haven't made stuff up here. We're going by material that's been published by the Federation that's they've put out to all the clubs to say this is how we want to see the future of football in this state. And so if that's the case, well, let's honour that promise and that commitment. Let's get 14 teams into NPL 2 and 3. And let's get 10 or whatever it really is. It's 12 teams into the top tier of women's football. We've made these commitments in the past. Let's honour them. That's all the clubs are asking for. They're not asking for any special and preferential treatment here.
And just on the fact there, the Kylie's has the list of clubs grown since last week? You mentioned, I think, 30 on a Zoom call last week. I think 50 were invited, 40 were invited. Has that grown more throughout the week as the week's gone on, or is it still at that 40?
Look, 40? It's at 40 odd at the moment with I guess a recognised list of regular emails, and then there's a number of other clubs who, through other people people, this is a small world, obviously, football in Victoria. People talk and, they hear these sorts of programs and say, well, okay, if there's some work happening there, well, can we, show some interest and either get involved, or how do we get engaged in some of that? So a number of other clubs have reached out saying, look, we've got some of our colleagues who are interested. So we're just going to, start to feed out some more information to them. As I said, we have a forum later this week that we're inviting clubs to a Zoom call on. And again, we initially started with those clubs and it wasn't just the top 2 in each of the divisions, men's and women's. It was really clubs that were in the mix potentially for promotion that we initially invited to the forum. So it's definitely growing, Craig, and we look forward to the support. And as we've said as a group, the more united we are as clubs, and it's so easy to be splintered on whatever the issue is. The more we are united, the stronger we're going to be as clubs, and the better position we're going to be able to put to the Federation. And this is not about having a scrap with the Federation. Let's just be clear here. It's about reaching some sort of sensible and rational resolution that I did use the term that really minimises the amount of bloodletting that we have out at the media and whatever else. And funnily enough, I'll just to try and be funny for 2 seconds, I was jokingly invited to the 3XY Greek radio program tonight, where my colleague Mark's gone on. I am being a little bit facetious. They didn't quite invite me. I had too much fun on this program last week, so I had to come back here.
Yeah, that'll be fun. A Maltese on a Greek show. That should be fun to tune into.
Well, they do tell me they're speaking English for that program today.
Very good. Good to see you.
Go, Craig.
No, go on, Steve. You go, and then I'll finish it off.
No worries. One more question from me, Zach, would be timeframes. You've already had a chance to meet with Kim On and Football Victoria, as you said, in the week. What sort of timeframe do you think we need to see some traction happening, or what time do you think Football Victoria will allow this to kick on till?
Yeah. Look, Stephen, we're hoping this doesn't, get strung out for too long. As I said, we're putting the written submission to Football Victoria tomorrow for their board to consider. And I'd like to think that this issue can be brought to light very quickly in the next couple of weeks at the latest. And again, if for whatever reason Football Victoria finds itself stuck, that they can't move away from the decisions they've made, clearly then as a group of clubs we've had a serious conversation about considering and reserving all our rights in terms of whatever steps we'd like to take. And if that means, progressing legal proceedings, again, albeit reluctantly, then that's something the club's extremely committed to doing, because they feel that aggrieved as clubs that their hard work is just not being rewarded and they're not being heard.
Yeah. Craig, you got a question to ask?
Yeah, we'll finish up with the last one for you, Zach, and then we'll get Jason Sherry on from St. Albans Saints from the other side of the table. So just to finish it off, and I know there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, as you come up and said there, but looking at that comment there from Jeff that he's posted up, how confident are you that a resolution can be reached that's, I suppose, satisfies the group committed to, I suppose, to putting this together?
Look, when you talk to legal folks, they'll tell you can't put your house on anything if you go down that path, as we all know, right? So, look, we're trying to avoid going down that path. How confident are we? Look, we're investing a lot of time and energy in this program of work. So we go in obviously reasonably confident that we can reach a sensible resolution to this matter. We know there's some professional and committed people on the board. As we spoke earlier, I've been in that seat previously, where as a general rule, most board members will try and do the right thing by football, and really we're imploring them to seriously consider the ramifications of this decision. The challenges of reversing decisions, we get all that, but this is about fairness and doing something for football, and really having something that Football Victoria and the board particularly can control, as opposed to having something imposed on all of us. That's the last thing we'd want to have happen. But again, if that's what it's going to require, well, we have to explore all options, because, as I say, we're investing a lot of time and energy as football people to see that we can't reach some sort of resolution here would be an extreme shame for the game.
Yeah, Zach, just very, very quickly. I mean, we could talk about this all night. There's just so many different parts of this whole debate, I guess. But I mean, obviously, the original kind of agenda, promotion, relegation, looking at that. But as we've sort of looked at, like what Jeff said, Jeff West did say the restructure. Now, if it's obviously a restructure, then it goes sort of a different slant where clubs then get invited or asked to get promoted, so to speak, to fill gaps or holes or whatever the case may be. In that submission you're talking about, does it sort of include everything? Does it include the promotion relegation issue? Does it include the restructuring? And how ambitious is it to actually expect restructuring when at the moment Football Victoria themselves have been talking about restructuring, and with everything that's been going on, probably the likelihood is they'll put that on the back burner for another year until we can get a complete season happening. Does that complicate matters even more?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure if it actually complicates matters. It might even give them an avenue to explore. And one of the options we're actually putting in our written submission to the board tomorrow, and we flagged this with Kim on and with the chair of the football committee just the other day, was to say, look, we're not running the game, right, as a group of clubs. What we're saying is we're giving you some options to explore. You're ultimately the governing body. You've got to make some decisions that we then as a group of clubs feel resolve this matter. So I think the restructure, and maybe even to use Kiwan's term, I think he might have even used the term re-engineering a couple of shows ago. I think that's a realistic opportunity for Football Victoria to seriously explore an avenue without as much difficulty, I guess, in going back on the decision they've made to try and find a solution to this matter.
Right. Well, it's an issue that is not going to go away very, very soon, and we look forward to finding out all the latest that does happen in the next week or so. Craig, we do have another guest who's going to come on, who's going to look at give us a perspective from a club that is not battling for promotion, but battling to stay in the league that they are currently at. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah, it is. It is correct. Yeah. Now, are you okay to stay on, Zach?
Yeah, certainly. I was going to listen to the show anyway, so no problems at all.
So, on the line, we've got Jason Sherry, who's the football operations manager up there at St. Albans Saints. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Craig, and good evening, all. Thanks for having me on.
How are you, Jason? Good to have you on the show again, a regular visitor to our show. Mate, we've heard from Zach. We've heard from a lot of the clubs that, are very frustrated that, they've invested a lot into their club and their football operations over the last 2 years, really to not get any reward. But your club is in a different situation, different position after getting promoted from NPL 2. And, it hasn't been an easy season for anyone, but your club was really looking down the barrel as the season was progressing in the NPL competition, St. Albans Saints, of course. And you're still holding out for hope that you'd be able to survive, as do all clubs, right up until it's mathematically impossible. Where do you stand in this debate, the promotion, relegation, restructuring debate? Where does your club stand in all of this?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, and I guess first and foremost, I'm sure every club is out there trying to fulfil, I guess their objectives, and obviously for clubs that are in a position of promotion, they're going to do their best to ensure that those needs are dealt with, and obviously the group that's been put together to I guess contest some of Football Victoria's decisions have made that quite clear. I guess from our point of view, it was a disappointing year all around, but I can assure everyone listening that there is no. I guess we haven't enjoyed the last 2 years just like other people and other clubs, and certainly we don't take any kind of joy out of not completing the season and finishing. I guess what some may and I guess to what it is staying up by default to a degree. But just on that point, and I'll make it very clear, and totally again respect and understand people's position about wanting to get promoted and where they were on the ladder and everything else. But I mean, not my angle, but I guess a lot of people's angle who, whether in the respective positions on the ladder, is the fact that at the end of the day, let's call a spade here. Ambition is ambition, and wanting to be promoted is one thing. But, promoting and relegating people on hypotheticals, is a dangerous zone. And I think, for me, again, if there's some sort of restructure where, the clubs that were in positions of promotion, are rewarded for the positions on the particular ladder at the time, and the clubs that, where we're close by. I mean, if you look at some of the leagues, the teams that were third and fourth were also in contention of promotion, and how does that affect them? But, more or less from a relegations point of view, I mean, I can only talk about our club and our position, and I'm sure if you look at some of the other ladders respectively, there's some relation there. I mean, at the end of the day, we had 8 games left in the season. We had 5 games at home, and out of those 5 games, there was 3 games that we were playing against the teams who were the nearest bottom teams next to us on the ladder, and we were 4 points behind adrift of the other 2. So, realistically, if the season had gone ahead, look, there was a chance that, we might have got relegated, but it wasn't a foregone conclusion because there was 8 games to go. So I think for us and for me, and I guess for any other club that was in that zone, I mean, it's a bit unfair to say, well, the season's going to finish where it is, and let's relegate these teams. And to me, you're basing things on an assumption that things may have fallen particular ways, and there's no difference for me. And I apologise, Zach, I don't mean the fact offend Preston Lions, the club that were in that position, but with all due respect, at the end of the day, I mean, clubs that were on equal points on top of the ladder, albeit be in front by 1 or 2 points. I mean, there was no guarantee that those teams were going to get promoted with just 6 or 7 games to go. So I understand the frustration and I understand the pain, and there's clubs, who have worked really hard at establishing themselves as title contenders over the years, and certainly I would like nothing more to see some of these clubs be playing at the top level because the top level needs them. But at the end of the day, we all are where we are because that's where we are with results. And to say, well, let's relegate these teams because other teams want to get promoted based on a hypothetical, for me, is a bit hard to swallow. and not just for me. I'm talking on behalf of many people who maybe their clubs are in the same position. So that's my viewpoint on, or our club's viewpoint on the matter. And certainly, I think Zach brought a couple of points up.
Well, let's just bring Zach in a sec there, Steve, and just let Zach have his say on, obviously, on your comments. Zach?
Thanks, Craig. I mean, Jason, I think you made some really good points there, mate. And I think, I'm not sure if you heard all of the program tonight, but our group, our United Football Group of clubs. Sorry?
I'm just finding it a bit hard to hear from the end.
My apologies. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
That's right. Yeah, now I can, mate. Yep.
Terrific. I guess what I was just saying, Jason, I mean, I think you make some really good points. And again, the point I made earlier, we as a group of clubs, you can obviously understand why we're pushing to be rewarded for the hard effort and work that we've put in, clearly. And I think I made the point that we're, as a group, we're not hung up on the relegation issue. But again, this is a decision for Football Victoria to make. And the last part of some of my comments were really around, multiple options that could be available to the federation. One of them could be the restructure, which may avoid relegation. We've seen, obviously, relegation put to one side in the last couple of years. So we're, as a group of clubs, it's not something we're hung up on. We'll obviously let the federation make that call. I mean, no one wants to see any club relegated from any league, but that's the harsh reality in football. I'm not suggesting that should be the harsh reality this year. It's one option that the federation, I know, has considered and obviously dismissed, but it has available to them, in my view, a number of other options that they should consider before relegating clubs.
All right. Well, We'll move on with some more questions for Jason. And there's a good point in the comments here. Then we remember from the 2020 season, as Steve Janowski points out, that St Albans were flying in the NPL 1 at the start of that 2020 season on 9 points from the 5 games off to a good start. It was a bit of a misfortune losing some of those key players that were around in 2020. Is the focus now just trying to get a good squad again in for next season, Jason?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I guess for us, and look, and not just St Albans, but I'm sure many other clubs, the 2020 season was a disaster in the sense of how short it was cut. But for us, it had some significant impact with the players that we lost. We had several players that we were from interstate that went back home and just decided that wouldn't come back. So we were in a position, I guess, well into pre-season when we thought these guys were going to stay on board and just, I guess week by week, someone sort of pulling the pin saying, hey, I can't come back, or I'm going to stay back home, or, this has happened or that's happened. So it forced us into a bit of a situation that was a bit new to us because for most part over the last 7 years, we've been pretty organised in our recruitment process. So that threw that out the window, but certainly, that had a massive impact on this year's scenario and the way it ended up and was shaping for us. But look, absolutely, now we've already started the process in regards to some structures and everything else in regards to the way we go forward. And again, look, every year, irrespective of how successful or unsuccessful you are, you always learn something as a club, as an organisation, and certainly we'll aim to do things a little bit differently and better this year. And look, we there were some unfortunate things that were out of our control, but at the end of the day, we can't use excuses, and we'll keep on forging forward in a positive way and rebuild and do what we need to do. And again, that balls are really well and truly rolling.
Just a question from me, Tonch, if you don't mind.
Just
very quickly, Jace. Obviously, there's over the past couple of years, and I'm not singling out St Albans in this at all. But if you look down the league, state league ones, there's been a number of clubs that have been at the bottom of their league for the past 2, in some senses, almost 3 seasons now, with clearly no plan to try and change that. Is it fair and reasonable to ask Football Federation to allow them to stay in those leagues, given the fact that, and there's a couple, I won't mention clubs, but there's clubs that have been at the bottom of the same league for 2 years on the trot, finished on very, very low numbers, but are now going to be able to stay in that league for another year where clubs in the league below work very hard to try and get promotion, but can't because of that decision. Is that fair and reasonable on those clubs as well?
Look, I think there's two ways of looking at that, Craig. And again, I come down to the fact that, I'll use the St Albans scenario for one. I mean, last year we were flying and after 5 rounds, and we were pretty confident that I'm not saying we would have won the league or anything like that. We were pretty competitive, and we might have finished in a different scenario. And this year we started off well again and ended up in a different place. I mean, our situation is a bit different because last year and this year are two different places. But at the end of the day, where my point is the last 2 years have been an exception, and it's very hard to gauge any kind of decision on the fact that we just don't know what might have happened. But certainly there's clubs there that are always going to be languishing on the bottom. They're there for a reason. And there's always going to be clubs that are ambitious that are pushing on the top. That's what makes our game wonderful. But
just on that, it doesn't mean. Just on that, Jay, sorry to interrupt you again there. It doesn't mean that, St Albans, because of where they are on the table, doesn't mean that they're not ambitious. Perhaps they haven't had the money that other clubs have had to be able to progress and do as well. But that doesn't mean that they haven't given everything that they've got. Let's just say they've got a $200,000 limit, whereas another club in that league might have $1 million. It's the same for both. If one's just got a bit more money, it doesn't mean that they've given everything. But there'll be clubs down the leagues that haven't, and they haven't spent, and they haven't done particularly good jobs at promoting themselves. But they're in a position where, they're going to get rewarded again. So look, I'm on the fence with this, guys. I'm just trying to open a debate here on it. I don't think there's any right. There's no wrong on it. We're all football. We love the game. Everybody's got different opinions. That's why football's the world game. So
that's right, Craig, and it is a game of opinions. Go, Jason. Sorry.
I was just about to say, Craig. Look, ultimately, where this is really, really hard is because of the current situation. Because in normal circumstances, it wouldn't even be a debate. You finish on the bottom, you're gone, and you finish on the top, you're up. So it's a matter of where it is in the moment, and it's difficult. And I mean, at the end of the day, the leagues themselves and for football and for football itself to be better, you need the better. When I say better clubs, I don't mean better because they're many more important than any other club. But at the end of the day, there's certain clubs that bring extra value to the competition, and whether it be e.g., I mean, there's no doubt that having a Preston in the NPL 1 would be fantastic. Having a Georgie's in NPL 1 would be fantastic. For all the great things that they do, both on and off the park. But again, the hard thing is that that comes in time and progression, and the normal progression is promotion, relegation, in a scenario where things are I guess normal, and results and promotion relegations gained by results. And unfortunately, this year and last year, that wasn't the case. So look, I think at the end of it all, no matter what we do and no matter what we say, we all have varied views. I respect the fact that ZAK and his team are doing what they can to in the best interest of their clubs to get promoted, and certainly at the end, ultimately, Football Victoria will make the decision. But from our club's point of view, and I'm sure from some others, it would be, if it goes down the road where there's relegation based on an appeal, there might be other circumstances that might develop from clubs that may potentially get relegated due to a decision. So you might have another story on your hands from a different angle. So let's just hope it all comes down to a positive resolution for all involved, and at the end of the day, that the game wins and that we can move forward for a great 2022.
Jason, thank you very much for joining us. ZAK, thank you very much for joining us. We have had a very, very interesting, fruitful debate happening tonight, very civilised. So thank you to both gentlemen for coming on the show. But also in the comments section, gents, I'm noticing there's been a really good, and Craig, you summed it up. It's a game of football is a game of opinions. There's some very damn good opinions coming through the comments section. So keep them coming. And look, it's going to be a difficult one because the way I see it, we've got three entities here, clubs that are fighting for promotion. clubs that are fighting against relegation. And obviously, there's Football Victoria, the governing body. So it is going to be, let's say, an interesting debate that is going to be fought over the next few weeks, hopefully, not months.
It is, Tonch, but it comes back to, doesn't it? It doesn't, whether, I have an opinion on this or not, it comes back to rewarding those that are successful. And it doesn't matter which way you look. Sorry?
Rewarding those that are successful or rewarding those that have tried to be successful in what has been a very difficult 2 years. And I think that's sort of the sentiments that are coming through the comments. So it's once again, there's a game of opinions, but we could go on for a while. We do have to wrap it up because we do have to get to Danny Boy over in Moscow. It's been 5 weeks in the waiting. Zach, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we can get you on in a few weeks' time. And Jason, all the very best in what has been a difficult year. Certainly, hopefully that next year will be a much, much better year for everyone involved. Thanks, gents.
Fantastic.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks very much for having us. All the best, Jason, and team. Thank you again for the opportunity to have a conversation. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Hopefully speak to you soon.
Guys.
Indeed.
Good on you
Thanks, guys.
Gents, it was a brilliant conversation, brilliant one. We're going to have to take a little bit of a breather after that, but we're going to have a little bit of a conversation afterwards, and then we're going to get Dan the man on, Dan Pagnoccolo, all the way from Moscow to talk about the Serie A, but we will wrap this little discussion up amongst ourselves on the other side of the break. Stay tuned, folks. Don't go away.
Sport requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear, when Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, it was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse and an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free-time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs to professional sporting organisations, even referees. Ranked third most prominent football brand by the UEFA, Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide, including Australia, where we are currently proud partners of Perth Glory, Macarthur FC, Port Adelaide and Parramatta Eels, and more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us on 1800-MACRON.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. Oh, I think we've lost Craig Filer there for a second. I'm not sure where he is.
He'll be back any moment. He's just gone to cool his jets after that fantastic discussion we just had there, Tonchi, between two great men of Victorian football there, Jason XERRI and ZAK GRUEVSKI. So it was a good chat, and thanks to everyone tuning in. The comments are going off, and there's some really good opinions in the comments as well. So keep them coming in, and let us know what you think, because it's fantastic to hear. As you said, game of the people. Good to hear what people think about it.
Yeah, here comes Craig. He's going to join us back again. Steve, your thoughts? Where to now? Where should they go now? Everyone's heard my views. Now let's hear your views. First of all, you, Steve.
Well, overall, just to sum up the whole thing, I think clearly relegation is completely out of the question. That's not something we're going to see for a number of reasons. Promotion, for somewhat FV have put their comments out, and people are always reluctant to go back on something they've said for a number of reasons as well. So I think the only way that we'll see teams getting pushed up will be through some sort of restructure, even if it is an exaggerated one that allows more teams to go up to get to, to be a bit of an equalizer, I suppose. So some aren't rewarded and some others, perhaps. That's all I could envisage happening, or otherwise it will be status quo as you were. Yeah.
Craig, thoughts? Where do you think this will all lead? Or where should it go? Where should it go, better said?
Yeah, look, I'm with Steve. I don't think relegation is on the cards at all. I think there would be anarchy if it happened. Just for the reasons that we've spoken about tonight. I think the only option to Football Federation, there's two options in there. One, they continue down the path they've got and say there's no relegation, no promotion. or they come up with a restructure, which has been spoken about. That's probably the safe option. We know that the board of Football Federation are not daft. There's some very high level, intelligent people on that board. So that whatever decision they make, it'll be made, we hope, that's right for football. But I can honestly see a restructure of the leagues being the way forward if anything does change. Certainly no relegation.
During the week, Football Victoria did announce it was going to deliver, well, this is what they're saying, $1.75 million in refunds to Victoria's football community. There was a comment earlier in the piece. Someone said, they're only refunding 20%. Here we go. I think I confirm. Mutlu Oztas says, I can't believe Football Victoria's cancelled season 2021, but only refunding 20%. So if they're holding on rest 80%, why aren't they accepting 80% season play to promote all hard-working clubs? That's an interesting point, Craig. What do you think of that?
Look, they spun it very well, actually, as football. It was obviously written by lawyers, solicitors, but the way that they said that they'd spent so much on the Matildas and everything else, and look, it's what, $16, is it, per person? What they did do very well in that document was put the onuses back on the clubs to say, well, we've given the clubs the refund, sort it out with the clubs. It's not coming. We're not going to pay you individually, so we're going to give it back to the clubs. It's now your responsibility to get your money off the clubs if you choose to. Look, it's a token gesture. But they have worked bloody hard, Football Victoria, last year, to re-establish the leagues and redo fixtures probably 3 times throughout that period. There's a lot of work goes into that. So the fact that they came out and give anything at all is kudos to them. Everybody wants more, of course they do, Tonch. Everybody would love their $100 back, but the reality is it was never going to happen. So the fact that they've got something, I think, is good. Let's move on from that because we need to.
Yeah, I'd like to see, as you guys say, there's no relegation, promotion, and if we have to have 16 teams in the NPL next year, if we have to have 14 teams in NPL 2, NPL 3, as long as the following year the Football Victoria comes out and actually says, well, this is what's going to happen, and these are the scenarios. If we have 75%,
they have to, Tom. There's no two ways around it. They have to do that now. I think
they have to do it. And there was another good comment from, I think, in fact, it might have been Kylie Grisbeck that actually said it'll be interesting after the last 2 years of. Here we go. Here's the comment. Kylie says, will be very interesting what engagement FV do to change rules for next season, given what they've learned from the past 2 years. And it has to be the case that right at the start of the season, the clubs know what they're up against. Whether it's 50, 75 or 100% of the season played, they need to know. And, no excuse, because they've had now 2 years to acquire that knowledge, to acquire that experience. Going forward, that has to be the absolute minimum, I think, Craig.
Yeah, look, we know the reasons why the NPL sides don't want 16 teams, because it comes at a cost. And that's the reason why they don't want 16 teams. But I think now, as the governing body, the Football Federation or Football Victoria have to make the decision on that to appease not just the NPL 1 clubs, but to appease the whole footballing fraternity. Your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Craig, on that one. Yeah, that's pretty cut and dry for me.
You guys are agreeing with each other too much tonight. Come on, we want to have a few contra thoughts.
We'll save one up.
Sorry, Steve. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's all right. I was saying we'll save up a controversial disagreement at some point.
All right, gents, we're moving along at a breakneck speed. Once again, we've already gone, an hour and 15 minutes. So we're 75 minutes into the show. That's more than 3/4. So the status quo stays if suddenly we are cancelled. Not that means anything. That means, have we got our next guest available to come on the show, Craig?
Not yet, Tons. If you just go and play another advert for us, and then we'll get Dan on. He's there, but just got to get him on.
All right, no worries then. Okay, in that case, folks, don't go away. We are.
Looking for the best in authentic Maltese cuisine? Then you need to dine at Georgie's on Vista. Situated in the heart of Fraser Eyes, you can't go wrong when it comes to family dining. We have a menu for mum and dad, one for the kids, and one for seniors. Everyone's taken care of. Don't miss our specialty nights. Tuesday night is Parma night, where you get to choose from not one, but 5 different Parmas. Wednesday night, kids eat free with every paying adult meal. Thursday night is Members Night, where members get the chance to win some great prizes. And Friday night, join us for happy hour between 5:30pm to 7:30pm. Jim, Johnny, Jack and their little brother Schooner are only $5 each. Looking to get an early start Friday afternoon for a punt? Our sports bar with TAB is open from 3pm Friday afternoons. To book your table, email info@georgiesonvista.com.au. Bring the family and come dine at Georgie's on Vista, 46 City Vista Court, Fraser Eyes, Plumpton.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. It's all about football tonight. Even though there's not much happening on the park, there is a lot happening off the field. And I tell you what, now attention now turns to Europe and certainly to the Italian Serie A competition. It's been a good start to the Serie A league. And Craig, have we got our next guest on all the way from Moscow?
We do. Thankfully, 5 weeks in the making, but we finally got him back on the lines. Dan Pagnoccolo, good evening. How are you, mate?
Good evening, guys. Great to be on again.
Great to have you on board.
Week of Serie A so far. Thanks, guys.
Now, apologies to our listeners. We do have a little bit of a delay, so we'll try certainly not to talk off over the top of Dan. But Dan, great to have you on board. And how is things happening over in, firstly in Moscow, in Russia? Is it cooling down yet? Any sign of that harsh Russian winter approaching?
Yes, it has. It's right on schedule in this part of the world. So as soon as September hit, the temperatures drop straight away. So unfortunately, it's not like the rest of Europe that's a little bit warmer still. Cold nights already, and I think we're going to have another cold winter this year.
Steve?
Very good. Did you get to the final of the Beach World Cup over there?
I did. It was exciting. I got into the tournament slowly because I wasn't really interested in it at the time, but Russia was doing well, and yeah, they ended up in the final, and for the home country, they won. So it was pretty impressive. Switzerland was another strong team. So it was Japan, Russia in the final, and they got over the line in the end.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's turn our attention to the Serie A competition and what is happening there. What's happening in the Serie A competition? Craig, you're leaving me. No, I can't, because if I take you off, we take Dan off.
Right. Okay. No, all good.
Dan, over to you, mate.
We had our first 2 casualties regarding coaches this week. So Silvio Di Francesco, he used to manage Roma a few years ago. He got kicked out of Verona. They still haven't performed. They haven't got a point yet. But I know there's a lot of Croatians that are listening to the show. Igor Tudor has taken over Verona. And over at Cagliari, Leonardo Simplici has also got the boot, and Walter Mazzari is taken over. So after 3 games, we've already had 2 coaching changes, which is and if a few other teams don't perform, we might see some more within a few weeks as well.
Yeah, for sure. Dan, now I want to talk about Juventus versus Milan that's taking place at a very early hour of the morning, our time over here, but probably a better time for you. Will you be able to watch that game, and how do you think the teams will perform? Obviously, at sort of different ends of the table, but coming off a big couple of games, respectively, for them both in the Champions League during the week.
So, yes, like you said, at different ends of the table. But Milan have some injury troubles today. They're going to lose Calabria at right back. He's got an injury. Giroud didn't perform too well Wednesday. We found out he had an injury, so he'll miss today's game. Ibrahimovic has still got an Achilles problem. And news just in from Italy, Mark Magnon, the goalkeeper, he has a hand injury, so he's 50-50 of starting tonight. And Juventus, on the other hand, will have Chiesa back in the team, which will be a strong inclusion. They're coming off a nice, comfortable victory against Malmo on Tuesday night. So they have confidence. I think they just needed some confidence scoring goals and performing together as a new team. So I think it'll be a bit closer than people realise tonight, just because of the injuries out of Milan, and Juventus have got that winning feeling back. So it'll be an exciting game, and there'll be pressure on Allegri if Juventus lose. So they'll only have 1 point after 4 matches. So if they lose tonight, there'll be questions asked, and it'll be interesting to see how the Italian media react to that, and how the Juventus fans react to it as well.
Mate, Dan, I know it's still early days, obviously, and if we look at the competition standings there, I suppose up the top there's a lot of teams that are sort of thereabouts, all sort of pecking order for the top, the top position. But also at the other end of the competition standings as well, one win can make a big difference, and you can shoot from from near the bottom in the relegation zone, you can shoot all the way up to the top. As we said, only this is match day 4, and only half of that round has been played. Who have been, in your opinion, maybe the teams that have most surprised, or the teams that have most disappointed? Obviously, Juventus is going to be a disappointment, but has there been any other teams, in your opinion, that have actually exceeded expectations, or flip side, not doing as well as they should be?
I was speaking to a few people over here about Fiorentina. I said this at the start of the year. They've got a very good first squad, and they don't have Europe to contend with. So if they can keep their squad healthy, I feel like there's 7 spots to get into Europe now with the Conference League. They can be a team that can get into Europe this year. On the contrary, Atalanta, I think, not as strong as they have been in the last few years. Like last night, they were lucky to get the win against Montana. Sometimes probably should have scored. They hit the crossbar, they hit the post, and they controlled most of the game until Atalanta scored. Their heads went down a little bit, but Atalanta hasn't looked good so far this year, and I think that there'll be changes in the Champions League spot next year. I think Roma, Mourinho's got them performing very well. They had a nice win on Thursday night. They smashed CSKA Sofia. But I think they'll drop out. If Juventus starts not collecting points soon, I think Napoli and Roma might be the 2 teams to get back into that top 4 and play in the Champions League next year.
And speaking of the Champions League, Inter Milan going down to Real Madrid 1-0 at home as well in the early hours of Thursday morning our time here. And then they were obviously stung by that because they came out and defeated a previously undefeated Bologna side 6-1 in the Saturday fixture over there. So they really bounced back quite well. What did you think of their performance in the Champions League on the other day against Real Madrid?
I mean, they're disappointed, and Ancelotti knows how Italian teams play. He has much more experience than Inzaghi, so it was disappointing they couldn't get a point out of it. It lasted pretty much the 90th minute, and then Madrid scored. But yeah, like you said, yesterday they came out firing. I mean, Bologna, was at 1-0, Bologna was still in it. They had a chance at about the 20th minute mark with Storiano. But after that, Inter were rampant, and Edin Dzeko came on and scored amazing. If you can see the highlights for his last goal, a very narrow angle and squeezed it in. So it just summed up how good their afternoon was yesterday against Bologna.
Yeah, it looked like he was taking the P155, as they say, out of the Bologna defence there when he got on there, Edin Dzeko. I just wanted to talk about another striker there, Victor Osimhen. I saw him in action in the Europa League this week. How good of a season do you think he's likely to have this year? Because he really took that game by the scruff of the neck when they were 2-0 down and got a share of the points there at that game at Leicester.
And the Napolitano fans will be very happy with the money they spent, because last year they spent a lot of money on him and he didn't quite perform too well. There was controversy with him partying during the Christmas break in Nigeria and coming back during that COVID time. It was looked down upon, but his pre-season this year has been very strong. He's scored pretty much most games in pre-season and he's just come out this season firing. And I mean, he pretty much took Napoli back into the game. I was lucky enough to see the second half, and as Heather, he put away is what they're paying this money for him. And if he shows performances like this year, he'll continue to help Napoli forward into the top four and go deep in the Europa League as well.
Dan, just one question from me, the special one. Mourinho.
Yeah.
What's
Mourinho?
How are people seeing him in Italy? Obviously, we know what people sort of think of him and think that he's a bit old-fashioned for the game that it is now. But given Italian is a very different style of football to the Premier League, how is he perceived over there in Italy?
I mean, after his time at Inter Milan, he's always regarded highly. Like, he took them to the tripletta, so they won the league, Champions League, and Cup that year. He was with Inter. So as soon as he arrived, I was in Italy at the time when he arrived, and there was all positive press of him. And I mean, his performances so far are excellent. They're maximum points in the league. They're in the Conference League, but they're still putting a lot of goals away. So he's getting a lot of positive praise. And last week was against Sassuolo. It was a very exciting game, and this is 1,000th game in charge of any club. So it was a test for him, and when they won, he ran the whole length of the pitch under to the Curva Sud and the Roman fans, and just shows that he's got this passion back for football. And he came out saying before the game that he didn't care how the result went, but afterwards he said, I did care. I was a young boy again running 100 meters down the track, and he feels like he's got that passion back in him. And Roma do look like he's shaped a good team. Like Tammy Abraham, like English as an English player sitting into Serie A, he looks very comfortable, and they've built in a great squad there.
3 games, 3 wins. They're doing really well. And obviously there's a couple of games being played over tonight. And one of them is Roma versus Verona. That's at 2:00 in the morning. Other games, Empoli, Sampdoria. That's happening in a few minutes' time. In fact, that's the early game. Venezia and Spezia. Is it Spezia or Spezia? That was my pronunciation.
Spezia.
Spezia and Lazio and Cagliari. And let's move our attention now to next week's fixtures there. We're going to ask you very, very quickly who you think is going to win, or is it going to be a draw? Match day 5. And it's a midweek fixtures, in fact. Bologna and Genoa, Dan.
I'm sure Bologna want to bounce back after their poor performance yesterday, and Genoa came off a loss as well against Fiorentina. So, I mean, Bologna at home, they might get the point. They've got Arnautovic can pop up at any time to score, so they might get the win there.
Wednesday morning at 4:45 a.m. our time, Inter Milan is away to Fiorentina.
This will be. I'm interested in this game to see how good Fiorentina's depth is, because having consecutive games, I know Inter's got this good squad, so. Yeah. I mean, Inter should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fiorentina managed to get a point or even steal the game off them at home.
Atalanta Sassuolo. That's also at 4:45 a.m. on Wednesday morning.
Atalanta probably should win, but Sassuolo have been unlucky the last 2 games. They've had 2 losses, but if they play like they have been, they might have a bit of luck and might get some points with Atalanta because they've been not playing too well so far.
Juventus away to Spezia. That's on Thursday morning. Can Juventus bounce back?
Yeah, I think so. I think Juventus will get the points over in Liguria for that game.
And Salernitana, Verona, Milan, Venezia, and Cagliari, Empoli. They're the other Thursday morning games.
Salernitana, I think, will get their first win against Verona. Milan should be too strong for Venezia. Cagliari at home. And Sampdoria have been playing pretty well. So that game might end up as a draw or either one or the other two. I mean, Napoli might win that. Otherwise, it's a draw.
Oh, looks like we've lost the boys.
No, still here.
No, Steve's there. Craig, hello.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
Oh, looks like we may have lost Craig, and as a result, we've lost connection with Dan. Don't know what's happened there.
No, we're here. No, we're both here. We're both
Dan,
here. We still hear you.
Hello, Dan.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
We haven't gone anywhere, mate. We're still here.
No, we just lost you for a time. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, the midweek game. So we'll be looking forward to that, mate. Finally, we managed to get a hold of you, so we really appreciate that. And we'll let you get back to. I don't know what's going on. Gremlins going on.
Maxi Sancic, Tonchi, keep going. We can hear everyone.
Yeah, everyone. There you go. I don't know what happened.
Thanks, Maxi.
So it's mine. It's mine. I tell you what, the last few weeks, the internet. I'm having that Point Cook issue. The internet down here in Lara.
Why do you think I left?
Yeah. Oh, no,
fed up of doing them in my garage. I was fed up of doing them in my
I'll
garage.
never forget that. That was hilarious. That was one of the funniest episodes ever.
Good to hear from you, Dan. Thanks for very much for holding on. Hopefully we'll catch up with you the same time next week, mate. Have a good week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Have a good evening, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, pal. See you.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Dan Pagnoccolo. Finally, we got a hold of Dan, the man, all the way from Moscow. That was good. Gents, it was a great episode tonight. Really enjoyed it, and I think the viewers and listeners did as well. So we look forward to having you all back next Sunday, and I'm sure we'll be. There's a few issues to talk about, but send us a private message, send us an email at football. What is it?
footballoutwest@gmail.com.
Yep. Send us footballoutwest@gmail.com. Send us a message, what you'd like in the weeks to come, what you'd like to be covered. But certainly we'll definitely be looking at some of these issues coming up. Yep. Yeah. Craig, thanks, mate. Love having you on every week.
Thank you, Tonch. And great job behind the scenes as well every week for us. I know it's we have our problems, but yeah,
we do. And a big shout out to your little girl, who's a big girl now. Happy birthday to Madison. It's her birthday
she's
today.
Gonna go and light a cake now and feel it's her second birthday lockdown. So she not only missed her prom in school, she missed her 18th birthday, and then she's missed her 19th birthday. So feel for the young kids at the moment.
Absolutely. Steve, we'll be back tomorrow night. We've got a very extra special Geelong Region Soccer Show with our special guest Roy Hay, the doyen, the historian, the great one that is. We'll be looking at some of the clubs that are no longer around, and there are some absolute interesting stories. Do not miss that, 7 o'clock on here on the Football Out West News Facebook page, but also on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page. So until then, good night, and until next week, good night to everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.